There we go. Hello. Hello. You shitting me. This worked earlier, too. I don't know why it didn't work now. Now I know it's working because I can see the bars moving. So everybody can hear me now, right? Yes, no, thumbs up, thumb down. Perfect. Ah, good Lord. All right. Well, I apologize, everybody, for the system errors. Yeah, that was totally on me. I don't know why it wasn't working. I had this working earlier today with no problem. Haven't even rebooted or nothing. But for some reason, this wasn't working just now. I don't know why. All right. So let's try this again, folks. Yeah, for the third time now. I'll repeat what I was saying. All right. So basically, the NFL is changing the game right in front of us. And most of the fans don't even realize it. So there's a global expansion going on, new rules, and now a referee situation that can get real ugly. So this whole fight, it's not about money. It's about control of the game. The refs want to control their destiny when it comes to the game. So tonight, all 32 fan bases are welcome. We're not going to open up the phone line just yet, so don't call in yet. I got a few things that we want to go over that's related to all teams in the NFL that impacts everybody. And then we'll get into opening up the phone lines and talking about what's going on. So before we start, I'm gonna just shout out to the chat, see who's here. And I can't believe that wasn't working. I apologize, everybody. I am so sorry. So we got Raider Paul in the house. PNW Mark is in the house. Kenneth is here. Jack is here. Darren's here. Hobo's here. Just like Jeff talking, but ain't saying nothing. Right? Right? Let's see. Who else popped in? Who else? James Furpo's in the house. What's going on, James? Yeah, you can hear me because you're sitting in the living room, Dawn. Hi, Dawn. Let's see. Demented Zero is here. What's going on, man? King Alex, what's up, man? Hey, welcome in from New Zealand. I appreciate you. We got some Australian friends that are part of Raider Nation that get on with us too. Afakasi Raider. So yeah, definitely. We will never forgive you. No, that's fine. I don't care if you forgive me or not. I had my live on, could not hear via the live. Yeah, you couldn't hear via the live because my mic wasn't working right. No, you kept yelling, I can hear you. So, all right. So, what we're going to do first is we're going to go over the global change that's going on in the NFL. What's up, Kenneth? How you doing, my guy? So I'm going to bring something up on the stage here. Oh, no, not that. This. There we go. So with everything that's going on in the NFL right now, there is like I said, there's a global positioning going on where teams are now been given other territories basically in the world for them to basically they own part of that market now. So their teams will be area. If they play overseas games, they're going to be in those countries as the home team, basically, is what it comes down to. So if we go through the list, you've got Argentina is Miami. Australia is the Raiders, the Rams, the Eagles, and the Seahawks. Austria is the Lions, the Colts, the Chiefs, the Patriots, the Seahawks, and Tampa Bay. Brazil has the Lions, the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Eagles. And one that I wasn't really aware of right away until the other day was there's a market in Canada now. I knew Buffalo always had a strong grab in Canada. And I knew for a fact that the Raiders had a big stronghold up there because a few years ago when I was with the Booster Club, we went to a game in Buffalo for the Raiders Buffalo Bills game. And there were a ton of Canadian fans that came down from Canada for that game in Buffalo. So in Canada, you have the Cardinals, the Bills, the Bengals, the Lions, the Vikings, the Raiders, and the Seahawks. China, you have the Rams. Colombia, the Dolphins. France makes sense. It's the Saints. Germany is probably one that has the most teams. So you got the Atlanta Falcons, you got the Panthers, the Lions, the Packers, the Colts, the Chiefs, the Patriots, the Giants, the Steelers, the Seahawks, and Tampa Bay. Ghana has the Eagles. Greece has got the Chargers. I think that's the only one the Chargers are in, actually, outside of the United States. Yeah, that's the only market the Chargers get. It's about how many fans they have too. Ireland, you have Green Bay, the Jaguars, KC, Jets, Tennessee Titans, and the Steelers. Italy has Cleveland, the New Orleans Saints. Japan has LA, which makes sense with China also having the Rams too. Mexico, now this is a big one too. So Mexico, you have the Cardinals, the Cowboys, the Broncos, the Texans, the Chiefs, the Raiders, the Rams, the Dolphins, the Steelers, and the 49ers. New Zealand, which makes sense for us because, and actually all four teams, because they're already in Australia. We were in Australia before. New Zealand was just added recently for us. So it's the Raiders, the Rams, the Eagles, and the Seahawks. Nigeria has the Cleveland Browns. South Korea has LA. Spain has the Bears, the Chiefs, and the Dolphins. And Switzerland, Lions, Colts, Chiefs, Patriots, Seahawks, Tampa Bay. And this was a new one too for me. I didn't realize this one until the other day too. United Arab Emirates over in the Middle East. So you get the Rams, the Raiders, the 49ers, and I still call them the Redskins, but the Commanders. And the last grouping, the UK. You've got the Baltimore Ravens, the Bears, Green Bay, Jacksonville. Jacksonville's been a steady team over there for the last, I don't know how many years. That's kind of like their home team over there. The Chiefs, us, the Dolphins, the Vikings, the Jets, and the 49ers. So those are the teams that are where they're going to be representing in a global aspect. And basically, what this whole global aspect is, it's not like a takeover. NFL's trying to build fan bases throughout the entire world to make the team more, or the league more popular. Increase revenue, obviously, merchandise, people that want to come over to the United States to watch a game that can't afford to come to the United States. Now the game's coming to them. So this is a big move for the NFL, expanding this market, because before it was just in the UK, in Germany, Brazil, Mexico, definitely. But now we're really starting to expand. Like this year is going to be the first game in Australia. It's the Rams and the 49ers. And Leo told me something the other day that was real interesting about that game. Now, the Rams are giving up a home game in LA and playing that game in Australia as a home game. Because I guess what happens is the 49er fans always fill up SoFi. So, and they make a joke of it. So what the Rams are doing is they make it a home game for the San Francisco 49ers. So by the Rams taking that as a home game in Australia, they're alleviating that and making it more of like a neutral type setting for them. So smart move by the Rams if you think about it. So this is going to make all these different brands bigger. Like this is going to expand some of these teams that don't have a big market here in the United States. This is going to make their market even bigger. Their reach is going to expand tenfold. So this was a smart move. It really was. There's some countries on here that I didn't even think would, like Ghana. I'm like, really? Ghana? Okay. United Emirates, the UAB, I kind of get that one too, because there's a lot of money over there. You start hooking some of those fans, and I'm glad the Raiders are part of that from a Raider aspect, because that's just expanding our market even more and a bigger reach for us. Like if we were still in Oakland, this would be a bigger deal than what it is now, because the team is worth so much more money now than what it was in Oakland. And us being a small market in Oakland, by us being in Vegas, we have a bigger market. But if we were still in Oakland while they were doing this, this would help the team out big time, because it's expanding the reach for the Raiders organization. So these small market teams are now going to get a little bit of an uptick in revenue because of this. So it is a smart business move. And I get what you're saying, Mark, where some players don't like it, because it's going to be a lot of traveling. That travel trip to Australia is a pain in the butt. It's basically a 24-hour there, or New Zealand. Either way, it's like a 24-hour flight. So that's not easy. That's a long plane ride. Let me just check in. I know a few other people have popped in since I started. Dealer Darling, what's up, brother? How you doing? Let's see, John Raid is in the house. Funny, I saw a meme, Brady, Davis, Spytek, Kubiak bringing in red carpet on Tuesday from Mendoza. Let's see, as someone who lived in Japan, the Rams is a bad idea. Okay. Well, it looks like the Rams have the whole Asia market, like that whole Pacific Asia area. Let's see. I'm in Medellin and I'm stuck with the Dolphins. Sorry, Darren. There's actually a lot of Raider fans in Japan. Yeah, see that I didn't know. Well, the Raiders are big in pretty much a lot of the South American, and so are the Dolphins because of where they're based out of being in Miami. So that I get that that hook for them. Same thing with the Cowboys. Now, see, the Cowboys I thought would be in a lot more markets than this. Because if you look at where they're at, they're not in a lot. They're in one. Actually, the Cowboys are only in one market overseas. They're in Mexico. That's not even overseas. Still in North America. So they're in Mexico only. They don't have another market anywhere. I think I totaled who had the most. I forgot who it was. I did count up all of these, and I think it was the Rams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I think it was the Rams. The Rams have 7 different locations listed. They got Australia, China, New Zealand, Mexico, Japan, South Korea, and the UAE. So yeah, they're in 7 different markets. The Raiders are in 6. So 7 is the highest. The Raiders, and I think the Chiefs are in 6. And then after that, it's kind of everybody's kind of scattered with like about 5, anywhere from 5 on down after that. So, I mean, I still understand why they're doing this. Again, the NFL's a business basically, so that's how everybody has to look at this. Let's see. King Alexander said Raiders on New Zealand's #1 team, all black and silver, everything. That's good. What's up, Jason? What's going on, man? How you doing? If this still stands, Raiders website is only professional team, have 7 languages. The Raiders play in Auckland. We're going to black it out. Yeah, they're supposed to. I think the 2027 season, the Raiders are going to Australia, I think is the plan. So I don't know if we're playing overseas as of right now this year, but I know Australia is supposedly going to be a definite for next season. So this will be interesting. Let's see. All I want to know is who does Lincoln, Rhode Island have? Nobody. We got nobody. It's unfair to the teams that to make them play overseas like that. No one should have to give up a home game for this nonsense. I mean, I agree, and I don't. I do. Because you can remember that there's 17 games in a season now. So before you were getting 8 games at home and 8 games on the road. Now you're getting 8 games at home and 9 games on the road or vice versa. So I mean, you're still going to get roughly some seasons you may have 8 actual games in your home stadium, but 9 on the road. You may get 9 home games, but only 8 of them are going to be actually in your stadium and one's going to be overseas. So your teams really aren't in a way losing out when it comes to that home field, the home field advantage basically, or losing the home game. See what's messed up. They still charging fans full price season tickets, giving away prime division rivalry. Well, I don't see where you're going to see true. The Rams and the 49ers are going over there. Yeah, I could see how that would it would suck if it was like, a rivalry, like say the Raiders Chiefs, and it's being, it's supposed to be a home game for us, but we're playing in the UAE, So yeah, I mean, that would suck. Sounds good in paper, but will it backfire? I don't think it'll backfire because Look, they've been playing over in Europe for years and Mexico. They just had a 2 years in a row now playing in Brazil. The game's popular. You know, people are showing up. They're going to play in Spain this year. So people will still go to the game. People from the United States still travel to go to those games. I can't tell you how many people I know that still go over to England when we played over there to go and watch the game, or go to Mexico and watch the game. You know, so fans will still travel for that game. You know, so it will still happen. And I think the NFL changing the refs to new ones is, yeah, we're going to get into that in a minute too. Players have to sit in a plane for 36 hours, then give up a home game. Plus, the NFL will never catch on overseas like it has here. Soccer is king over 'em. I disagree with that. Totally disagree with that take. Um, it's still popular over there. What's up, J Dog? What's going on, man? Not right now, Kenneth. I don't have the phone lines turned on. I know we've already seen 4 different phone calls trying to come through. Um, I wanted to talk a little bit first to just get the information out there, and then I can open it up. But right now, no, I don't have the phone lines open. Cowboys represent redneck culture. Most of the world can really. Well, I think the other thing with the Cowboys is they already have an international following, um, going back to like the 70s and everything. So they still have that big following, just like the Steelers do too, because of how popular they were during that time frame. Let's see. Raiders will do well in New Zealand. The color is also silver and black, called the Black Cats. Okay. I know they'll do good in Australia too. I don't know about some of these other countries like I don't know how well we'll track in the UK. Um, the UAE, maybe. I think we might gain some traction there. You know, what's up, TG? What's going on? What's up, Afakasi? See, that is the guy. That's the Australian right there. He can't wait for them to play in Australia, which, like I said, I think is scheduled for 2027. So if it happens in 2027, you know for a fact he'll be there for that game. Yeah, it's gonna be great, man. Hey, Afakasi, they might be playing. New Zealand's part of Oz now too, so you might have to take a flight to New Zealand to see a game too. So, um, let's just say I could see us having success in Scandinavian countries, but we're not in one of those, are we? Where are we in Europe again? We're in, yeah, we're not in any of those up there. Closest we get to that is UK. Yeah, the biggest markets are the UK, Germany, and Mexico. Everything else is like four teams, 5 teams, and then that's about it. So I don't want us to go back to the UK. Our winning percentage is so, yeah, but that is one of the markets that we are scheduled to play in at some point again is the UK. If I come to my house, bro, you'll be my guest of honor, brother. Yeah, there you go. King Alexander's in New Zealand, so there you go. I'd go to New Zealand for the game for sure. Nobody loves the Raiders outside of the US more than I do. Mm. What's up, brother? Yeah. What's going on, man? How you doing today? Um, so we'll if anybody wants to talk about that when we open up the phone lines, we'll definitely discuss that part now too. We'll discuss that at that time. Um, the next thing I wanted to just bring up and talk about here is the NFL rules that have changed in the last week. Um, so I don't know if anybody's aware of what happened this week with the rules with the owners approving some. I know there's still a few more that might possibly be on the books going forward. We're not sure. I listened to little Jeff. Uh, um, so with the rules, onside kicks now have changed. They can be you can do an onside kick anywhere in the game, no matter what. You just have to let them know that you're gonna present. You're gonna try for an onside kick. You can't do like a surprise like they used to. So they're getting rid of that other rule where you can only do it in the fourth quarter within a certain time frame, but only if you're losing the game. So now you can do an onside kick at any point in the game, no questions asked. Um, so basically, it's just going to create a little bit more chaos. Hopefully, more comebacks. Because let's face it, that onside kick shit that they were doing last year just wasn't working. Some teams did try and take advantage of it. Some worked, some didn't. So that's one rule they got rid of, and they're pretty much going back to the new rule now. Uh, I think the biggest change out of anything is still in the kicking game is the kickoffs that go out of bounds. If the kickoff goes out of bounds, basically it's unreturnable because that's what they want. The NFL wants more action. They want to have the returns. They want kick returns. They want to see some action in the games rather than just, teams kicking it out of bounds or, just lame ass kicks. So basically, if the ball goes out of bounds, the ball comes to the 50-yard line. That's huge. So you have to, it's forcing kickers to actually kick the ball to the return men. So by doing that, you're guaranteeing a return regardless, unless the player downs it in the end zone. That's different, on kickoffs. So you're forcing a team to actually make a play. They're not just gonna, the kicking team's not just gonna kick it and where it lands, whatever, and the ball goes to 35, 40, or wherever it goes out of bounds. Now it comes out to the 50-yard line. That's huge. Late in the game, if your kicker is not on point and he flubs a kick and it goes out of bounds, could go out of bounds at the 5-yard line. Guess what? It's coming out to the 50. So this is going to be interesting how this one helps or how this one changed. One of the other things that they changed too is the NFL can step in on officiating calls. So basically, what that means is if they see that a ref got a call wrong, the NFL can stop right then and there, stop the game, and recorrect whatever issue whatever miscall the referees made. So this is big right here. If you think about it, this is a really big one. This changes the game in a way now, because if there's a controversial play after the play's already been ruled by the refs, whatever, and there's, how the guys in the booth are like, well, they shouldn't have done that. Blah, blah. Well, guess what? The NFL headquarters, their officiating crew that are watching the game can jump in, stop the game, recorrect the rule or recorrect the call on the play on the field, and totally change the game. So this is the NFL grabbing more control of an actual NFL game and the refs losing that control of the game. So they're preventing that human error part. So that's how you got to look at this. Yeah, I don't like it either, J-Dog. I'm not crazy about that one. That's kind of having too much control over a game when it should be done at a field level or even in the booth with the review crew in the building, not the headquarter office calling in and stopping the game to recorrect the rule. I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that one at all. Because that actually, Goodell could have a big ruling on some of this. Like if he puts out a directive, like a quiet one that nobody knows about, that says, hey, be real, scrutinize this crew, and make sure that, because of who's playing in this game, make sure if it's looking one way or the other. I mean, there's all kinds of hokey shit that can go on. Everybody always said the league is scripted sometimes. There's conspiracies out there that think that. This just might reinforce that even more now, that this could be like a conspiracy issue, So I know a few others popped in here. Who's here? There it is. Daniel Barry's here. What's up, Daniel? What's going on, my guy? Let's see. Auckland. Oh, he's in Auckland. Yeah, stupid rule. Really, yeah, it is. It's huge. And yeah, it could be bad for us. It could be bad for Raider fans. It could be bad for teams that don't have a good relationship with Goodell or with the officiating crews. Coaches that are very mouthy towards referees. That could have an effect on a game. This could change things in a way. This is that same issue I have with the concussion protocol stuff. All right. And let me just address this. My biggest issue with the concussion protocol was a few years ago when Patrick Mahomes took that shot to the helmet and basically shattered his helmet. He was still able to complete another play with that helmet on his head. The game wasn't stopped. They didn't pull him out for concussion protocol. All they did was he conducted another play, then went to the sidelines to get a new helmet, and then went right back in the game. There was no checking of him for concussion. You shattered your helmet. I've never seen that happen in a game, ever. I've seen helmets come off, chin straps break, the helmet comes flying off. That's one thing. Pieces of the helmet shattered. There were extremely sharp edges on that helmet, pieces on the ground, and they didn't stop the play to, number one, clean up the field so nobody gets freaking lacerations from it, because that shit will rip you open. That's just as bad as glass. And it was cold as hell, so that stuff was solid. Okay. Plus, what was on the way his helmet was, all it takes is for a defensive end to come in and tackle him, and as he's going down, his arm goes over the helmet. You rip your arm wide open. You know, your guy will bleed out right there on the field. Why didn't that game get stopped? So that's where I look at favoritism. And with the concussion protocol stuff, that gives it gives too much power to a specialized group, basically. So if they're there watching this game and watching for players that might be on that verge of a concussion or not, and say it's a superstar player, say it's, in our case, say it's Brock Bowers, and they think he may have a concussion, and the game's on the line. We're at the 20-yard line. It's first and 10. We're down by 3 points. Touchdown wins this game. And he takes a shot, and they think he's got possibly a concussion. They take him out of the game because they think he may. Not he's showing the signs, but they think he may. They take him out of the game. That affects the team, you know, or they don't take the player out of the game, like in a blatant, obvious play, like the Patrick Mahomes one. That's where I got a problem with that. So now you add this aspect where the league can jump in, the league office can jump in and change a ruling on a game that they're thousands of miles away from, and have a, you know, I don't like that control aspect. You're taking the game out of the control of the human, the refs. And I know when it goes to replay, that's different, but we're talking about actually changing a play a call that was made on the field. You know, if it's a first down and they don't think it is, they could stop that and reverse that call. That's what this is going to do. This is what this will evolve into at some point. So, Dealer says the NFL stepping in will help, especially the Raiders, a lot of points. Yeah. Jason, what's up? Jason Marshall. Soon we won't need refs on the field. Well, and we're going to get into the ref issue again, because that will make sense as to why they're probably doing this too. Yeah, we'll have AI refs. Sounds very much like a New York bookie rule. What's up, Dennis? Refs need to be held accountable. The union protects bad refs. True, because there are some bad ones out there. You don't want AI referees. It takes longer, and they might be out of service. When is college going to get the ref out of the middle of the field? Let's see. I see Kubiak jumping AI robot mid-quarter. Oh, what's up, Rosetown? What's up, brother? How you doing tonight? So this whole, so just keep that in mind when the season starts this year. Like, you're going to see it getting played around with during preseason. So preseason will tell you everything you're going to need to know what's going to happen in the regular season with this rule change, basically, with the NFL stepping in. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it at all. I don't know what you guys in the chat think. You know, let me know when we open the phone lines. We can talk about it too if anybody wants to come in. I do ask that when anybody does call tonight, please. I need to keep these phone calls down to like no more than like 3 or 5 minutes. We got to keep these calls quick, because last week we had a few calls that couldn't even get through because people get talking too long. But that's also my point. I need to cut people off a little bit quicker. So, what's up, Cool Kev? What's going on, brother? How you doing tonight? So now we'll get into the refs. Nope, right here. Boop. NFL versus refs for the control of the game. So there's a good chance we're going to see, well, more likely because they're already in training. We're going to see replacement refs this season. So you're not going to see the regular refs that we've seen for the last few years. So you're going to have a whole new crew of referees out there. They're going to be green, which might be why the NFL is doing this with the stepping in and making changes to help protect the game, I guess, is probably how they're going to word this, protecting the integrity of the game because we've got replacement refs. Well, if you're worried about the integrity of the game and whether these guys are going to make the right calls or not, then settle up with the refs and get them back. Okay. So, and again, everybody's like, oh, it's probably about the money. It's not really about the money. They're basically what they're asking for is like $4,000 more a game is what it comes down to. Um, it's $4,000 a game per ref for a league that's worth I don't know how many billions of dollars. So pay the guys. I mean, what the frig? So is this what's forcing that rule? More than likely, So basically, what they want to do is the other thing the refs are fighting is the NFL taking over the control of their decision. So I guess this was also something that was already being talked about prior to, which is part of the reason why the refs are probably going to just sit out this season if they don't square away with the NFL, or if the NFL doesn't square away, the league doesn't square away with the refs. So we're going to have replacement refs this year, and it's not going to be fun because they're going to get stuff wrong. I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know if they're from the college ranks. I don't know. Yeah, they're 25. They're in excess of like $25 billion organization, the NFL right now. So pay the guys, So basically, this comes with it's them not having the control of the game. Also, as part of their reason for why they're trying to get this fixed. Trying to get the pay raise and everything, so they can be held more of accountable. So basically, they'd be full-time jobs for these guys. Is what it comes down to. And the NFL wants more performance-based referees. With the grading and everything. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that doesn't, that we're not privy to, obviously. The other big thing is the refs want seniority. They want seniority and they want to be paid in respect to seniority too. So if somebody's been here as a referee for the last 20 years and there's a guy on his same crew that's been here for 10, they're making basically almost the same amount of money. So they want a seniority ranking so that they're getting like in a proper pay scale based on your years of service, which makes sense. Or sort of like a longevity pay is what it comes down to. The NFL wants full-time officials. The current refs want to be full-time, but they're asking for more money so they can, so they can become that full-time ref. And that's what that's where they're butting heads with the referees union, and that's why the union's pushing back because look, you want them to be full-time, but you're not paying them like they're going to be full-timers, you know? Let's see. But it might work out for the Raiders instead of refs. The hate. It could be worse for the Raiders if the actual NFL offices are involved. Like if the officiating office department for the NFL is involved, if there's anybody up there that doesn't like certain teams, I mean, they could be biased. They can say they're not all they want. You think people have got conspiracy theories against the NFL now? It's only going to get worse. Wait till that first call that a ref on the field makes, and all of a sudden they come running back out in the field, blowing the whistle, calling a, timeout, officials timeout, and per league, whatever they're going to call it, headquarters, the play's been reviewed, and it's being reversed, even though they're ready to snap the ball again. It's the NFL stepping in and saying, no, that's a bad call. That ref messed up, so we need to switch that. That's not the play. It's going to, no, they lost 5 yards on that play. Shit like that. Well, no, it's not that they don't want to be full-time. They want to be compensated for it, basically. They want to just make them full-time now, but they're not offering to pay them for that is what it comes down to. So basically what ends up happening is if the NFL wins, they control the officiating. If the refs end up winning this battle, the refs will control their careers, basically, is what it comes down to. Which is why the NFL's prepping. They're in training. Again, like I said, they're in training. You're going to see a lot of refs at training camps this year, more than you've seen in the past, because they're going to have to be there with these teams and practice their own skill at practices, even at walkthroughs. You know, they're going to have to pay attention to what's going on. They're going to have to, they're going to be going through classes constantly until the season starts. So I can envision the preseason is going to be a freaking mess, is what I think is going to happen. Not only are you going to have a bunch of green rookies playing throughout the entire league, but now you're going to have replacement refs that have never refereed in an NFL style game before. The speed of the game is so much faster. You got to really pay attention. Your head has to be on a swivel. Some of these refs are going to get fucking hit. I can see it now. Some of these refs are going to get laid out. So I honestly don't know what this season's even going to look like. 2026 could be a complete shit show season between the rule changes with the kickoffs, the referee issue, the NFL getting involved in reversing calls. This is going to be a weird season. This season is going to be messed up. It's gonna, buckle in, folks. It's gonna be a shit show. Kim, it's an NFL rule to hate the. Oh, it always is. Let's see. What's up, Raider Nation? Jason, what's going on? What's up, Bueno? I see you, brother. How many refs are working for the NFL? That I don't know. I don't know the number of how many refs in total. I could probably look that up real quick. Give me 1 second, and I can definitely search that, because I'm curious now too that you asked that. Let's see. Hold on. How many work? Let's see what we get for an answer here. No, I need in total, not how many in a game. 121 total officials in the NFL across all the crews. So there's 17 officiating crews. There are 7 on the field, and those 7 are referee, umpire, down judge, line judge, field judge, side judge, and back judge. So you got 7 guys out there refereeing or officiating in a game. So 121 total officials, 17 different crews, plus there's a couple of swing officials who fill in when needed. So there's always a couple standby refs that are at games in case, because you've seen it before. You've seen refs get hit, get taken out of a game. They're standing by the sideline like the side judge. That happens to the side judge a lot, because the play's coming down the sideline and he's looking one way and he gets shellacked by a player from behind, and next thing you know, he's down and out. So they have replacement or standby refs standing there waiting for them. I guess the other thing too that's going to be involved is the virtual chain gang. You're going to start seeing that this year too. You're still going to have the chain gang until they perfect it. So, those guys will eventually, you won't see those guys anymore. See, the refs want to base who gets preference by seniority, not merit. A young ref could be better than a ref with seniority. Correct, and that's why they want the seniority. They want to protect their ass. It's just like the senators and congressmen in the United States, in the U.S. How long have some of these guys been there and done nothing? Just like some of these refs. How long have some of these refs been there and they've been bad for so long? We've had a few run-ins with refs that have just been awful. And they've been there for years. It's like, why is this guy still reffing? He's like one of the worst ones. Let me see who else popped in. Let's see, what are you guys saying? Hopefully these refs like the Raiders. Yeah, I wouldn't count on that. 29 Super Bowl in Vegas will be the flag football at this pace. Probably not by 2029, but I don't think it's far off, man. We talked about this last week. Or maybe a week or so ago, and I said this before I even started the YouTube thing. I said this in a setting with a bunch of Raider fans in the club. We were talking football, and I brought up the question or the observation. I'm like, since when did all these players, and especially skill positions, start wearing these thin strip towels hanging off their sides or off their back? Why are they wearing these? Like, you can't wipe your hand with that. I mean, the thing is literally only like about 2 inches thick. What are you wiping off with that? So I don't know if it was like been an ongoing test study with the way the flag moves when they run, or and I said it then. I said, I'm telling you, I have a feeling that they're pre-testing stuff now without us even knowing it, because you're just so used to guys having towels hanging off their hips, that eventually the NFL is going to turn to a flag league at some point in the future. And now all of a sudden this year they come out with, they're going to be looking into starting a professional flag league. So it's like, it, and with the concussion issues and the injury issues, and with the violence in the game, that as people put, I could give a shit about the violence. That's what the game is. I'm sorry. It's a physical game. So I can see at some point this going to that way. It's either going to be that, or it's going to be a bunch of AI holograms on the field running around. Or it's going to be like, remember when Fox used to have Cletus, that robot? It's going to be a bunch of robots out there playing football and not humans out there putting their bodies on the line. It's going to be robots or AI generated hologram images running around on the field. So it's just ridiculous. Yeah, 121 times 4,000. Yeah, I don't know what that was. I have to look that to add that up. What's up, Mike Guerrero? What's going on, man? I just want to catch up with you guys in here. Anybody? Let's see. What are you saying here? If they are so worried about injury, owners should just play football with AI. Yeah, right. Gem and the holograms. Yeah. So that's where we are with the state of the NFL right now, as far as, with the rule changes that came up. The ownership meeting was just this past week. So I know there's still some other things that are coming up. I know one of the other big things in the news this week pertaining to the NFL, and it's starting in Florida. There's a congressman or a senator down there or something that's basically disputing the whole legality of the Rooney Rule. So could that change in the future? I don't know. I know Goodell's not in favor of changing it. If anybody doesn't know what the Rooney Rule is, what it is it's to assure that minorities get their fair share at a shot at a head coach job. So when teams interview potential head coaches or coordinators, they have to at least interview one minority, whether it's an African American, an Asian, Mexican, whatever it is, whatever the minority is. It doesn't have to be just African American, which everybody thought it was at first, but it's considered, any minority. They have to hit that quota. So they have to interview somebody that's a minority. And if they don't, and they hire, say, Mike McDaniel, and he's not a minority, they can get penalized for it. The league will come down on them for it because they didn't abide by the Rooney Rule. And if you don't abide by the Rooney Rule, you could face penalties, whether it be loss of draft picks, fines. There's so much that they can do. So they can decide what they want to do with that. So supposedly in Florida, they're going to try and fight it. I don't think they're going to win. I really don't. I think that's going to stick, and I think it should still be there. But again, these coaches, they get hired based on their merit is what it comes down to. I mean, if the guy's a good coach and you feel as though he's going to be the best for your team, then do it. If you don't, then don't hire him. Plain and simple. Let's see. Jeff, how much did the AOC jersey sell for? I think last night on the show, I think the highest offer I saw was 1550 or 1575. He's not selling it. But everybody just started bidding on it last night after we played taps for it. Let's see. Elon Musk is African. Yeah, sure, unbelievable. All right. So, with that being said, I want to ask you guys this, and I'm going to open up the phone lines in a second here. I just want to see what you guys think is. I got to add this back in. Change the view. There we go. Is global expansion good for the NFL? Do you approve of it? Are you against it? So I'm going to open up the phone lines. So remember, it's 401-830-9189. Keep it to football. I don't want to know about your bunions on your toes or if your elbow hurts. Let's keep it to football. I want to keep, hopefully we get some fans from other teams in the NFL, not just Raider fans. Remember, Saturday night is Raider night. Raider Nation Voices with myself and Jason. Raider fans have all the time in the world on Saturday nights to call in and talk Raiders. Let me see. Where is that banner? There it is. All right. So the phone lines are open. Again, it's 401-830-9189. But yeah, I want to hear what you guys think. Are you in favor of the global expansion? Are you against it? The fucking hobo. He took the hint. Oh, what's up? What's going on, man? Yep. That was awesome. Fucking fax machine. People still use a fax machine? Jesus Christ. You're on No Huddle with Jeff.
What's up, Jeff? It's your old pal Kenneth here.
Hey, what's going on, man? What's up?
Oh, not much. I don't know if you heard, but your beloved Raiders signed Kirk Cousins.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we talked about it quite extensively last night on the Coast to Coast show with myself, Nate, and Jay, and Leo.
Yeah, I heard about it on the ESPN website. I have the ESPN app on my phone, and that was one of the stories that they mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm all right with it. At first, when there was first talk of us getting when people started talking about we need a veteran wide receiver and people started throwing Kirk Cousins out there, I wasn't in favor of Kirk Cousins based on the contract. But once they made it official and they brought him in here and that's the contract they came up with, I'm like, oh, hell yeah. I mean, that's such a team-friendly contract. It's only costing us $1.3 million this year. Next year, we're on the hook for the full $10 million.
He could be a pretty good QB to help with potentially Mendoza.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's the game plan. Is to sit Mendoza, let him start. Let him go up. Like I said last night, I said, listen, if we're gonna draft Mendoza, which we know we're gonna, that's fine. So you let Kirk Cousins go out there at the start of the season. How much do we expect to see him play in the preseason? Probably not much. If anything, Mendoza should be playing the majority of the preseason to get him as much reps with the first team as possible.
I agree. I look at it this way completely.
Yeah, I look at it this way. We're still going to be a fairly new team on both sides of the ball with guys we brought in, new coaches, new playbook. You know what? Let Kirk Cousins go out there. He's got over $300-something million in money that he's been paid through the years. He's got one of the best agents in the history of professional sports. This guy works magic with nothing. It's insane. So let him go out there and take the beating. Let him go out there and get beat up for part of the season. Or if it's the whole season, let it be the whole season. Mendoza will definitely probably start next year. If it means the kid's going to sit this year, screw it, sit him. If it's going to make him better in 2027, then sit him. No sense in feeding him to the wolves.
Most of the time, most teams, in my honest opinion, they tend to rush their QBs or whatever player they choose. They tend to rush them out on the field just to save their job.
Well, yeah, especially with the first overall pick. I mean, you kind of got the pressure, but I look at it this way: if your owner and your GM are on that same page where they don't want to start him right away, just to prevent, ruining him right away, because again, you put him out there early with a team that's just not there yet physically, like, built around him the right way. You could damage this kid. This kid could, You could destroy his confidence. I mean, he definitely could take a hit in confidence and just potential injury too. Why are you going to subject your number one overall pick to that? You know, when it's a when it's a quarterback, it's different. It's different. If it's a defensive player, get your ass out there and play. Offensive lineman, get out there and play.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me a bit of remember how Peyton was whenever he came out of college. I believe he played with he played college at Tennessee, but he ended up getting chosen by Indy.
Yeah, I mean his first year wasn't that great, but he turned. I mean, obviously, look at him. I mean, the guy turned into be one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. You know,
and another example that
until he went to the Broncos.
Another example that I came across was remember Troy Aikman? He played his college ball at UCLA, and he ended up getting chosen by Dallas.
Yeah.
His first year wasn't that great either.
No, not
and he ended up leading Dallas to
But I mean, in all honesty, with even with Peyton Manning, how much was it their fault? First of all, Dallas was horrible that year. Like they had no talent. They had nothing. It wasn't until after they made that trade when they traded Herschel Walker to Minnesota. That's where they built their Super Bowl teams, was from that. You take away that Herschel Walker trade, if they never made that trade, if they never traded Herschel Walker, Cowboys wouldn't have won those Super Bowls that they did with Jimmy Johnson. Absolutely not.
You see exactly where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah, like I don't expect great things from him his first year if he's out there.
Yeah,
there's a learning curve. He's coming from any quarterback. You're coming from a college game to a pro level game. The game's faster. The players are bigger. You know, there's more to it. The crowds aren't bigger. That's the one thing that is not going to change. Like the crowds at college games are in some cases almost twice the size of NFL fan stadiums. You know, some college stadiums hold almost 100,000 fans. You know, NFL stadiums at the most 75, close to 80. I think the Cowboys have one of the biggest stadiums as far as capacity. So the crowd noise ain't going to be an issue for them because they're used to it at college, you know?
Yeah, especially case in point, I would say the loudest stadium that I could think of in the NFL, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here.
What's up, Happy?
Wouldn't that be KC?
What, the loudest?
Yeah.
It's them or Seattle. It's always one or two with them too. Seattle's pretty freaking loud. I've never been to either stadium, just obviously what I see on TV and, you know, what the announcers discuss when they talk about, you know, the loudness in the stadium. But
yeah, because those two stadiums are usually the toughest stadiums actually to play in.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree, Darren. Darren said Seattle. I still think Seattle's the loudest from what I understand.
And I don't know if you heard, but Gilmore retired.
Stephon Gilmore?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't know
that. Check the I found out about it on the ESPN. I have the ESPN app on my phone.
Yeah.
And if you look under the NFL section, that was one of the stories that it was talking about.
Yeah, I didn't see that at all. You know what? Because I've been most of the time I spend a lot of time setting up the shows for the week. So unless it's something major news, you know, or if I go digging for it, I don't see it sometimes. So
yeah, like I said, it was on the ESPN section of the NFL section on the ESPN app. Right. I have the ESPN app on my phone.
Yeah.
But anyways, my man, I do appreciate you taking my call.
No problem, man. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate you. I always expect you to call in on Friday night. So
And normally I don't call in during the week because I know you usually don't take calls during the week.
Yeah, anybody can call at any point because there's a voicemail. So if you want to leave a voicemail, like if you're going to be out of town and you can't call and you want to leave a message, you can leave a voicemail. I'll play them live. It's just that there were no voicemails this week. So,
Okay.
all right,
Anyways,
brother.
my man, I do appreciate you taking my call.
No problem, man. You have a good night. Thank you.
All
right. Kev. So again, from the chat, man, I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about the NFL rule changes? What about that 50, the ball coming out to the 50-yard line if a kicker kicks on a kickoff out of bounds? What's your take on that? How much do you think that can actually change a game versus not? It's not a big change. I think it's huge. You have to rely on your kicker even more now to not shank kicks, or to be on the money. I mean, wind could be an issue too, weather, which is where playing in a dome, you might not have to worry about him kicking out of bounds as often if he shouldn't, So some of these stadiums that have these nasty winds, the way the air flows through the stadium and they go to kick off, and next thing you know, that ball gets hooked because it goes close to the sideline as it is, and all of a sudden the gust of wind comes and just blows it right out. That's big. That's automatically coming out to the 50-yard line. Yeah. Yep. What'd you say? Arrowhead is supposed to be the loudest stadium in the NFL, according to Google. Okay. This will be more work for definitely. Because think about it. You cut the field in half, So even if the ball goes out of bounds at like the 5-yard line, it's coming out to the 50. So I don't know if that means if it hits the ground and then rolls out of bounds, or if when they kick it, it just while in the air goes out of bounds. I haven't looked into it as far as that. I'm curious on that. I'm gonna have to look that up because that would make a big difference. Because if it just rolls out of bounds, I can see kick returners, if the ball hits the ground and it's close to the sideline, just running away from it, or not running away from it, waiting to see if it's going to go out of bounds. And if it doesn't, then hurry up and grab it. But the problem is those cover guys are going to be right there, and that's a free ball. So that's a tricky situation to put yourself in. Bueno says, "Whoa, this is massive. I haven't heard that 50-yard line one yet." Well, if you were here from the beginning, I talked about it at the beginning. So yeah, thanks for being late, Bueno. Good job. It's going to drive up the field goal. Yeah, probably. And that's just it. That's what the NFL wants. The NFL wants more scoring. It wants, if they're going to go global, okay, if they're going to really push this global thing, they want to see points on the board. They don't want to see a 3-0 game or a 0-0 tie game. They want to see points on the board, and this is the stuff that's going to put points on the board. The onside kicks at any point in the game now, not just in the fourth quarter or a certain point in the fourth quarter, and only if you're losing. If you want to do an onside kick at the start of the game, you can do it now. Try it. What do you got to lose? It's the beginning of the game. It's nothing. There's still 60 minutes to go, minus like 5 seconds for the kick that it took. So there's still plenty of time. NFL is making these changes to effectively up the scoring, which is going to address that whole global issue too. Going global is playing a big part in all this. These are new markets, some of these teams. Just do away with the kickoff and start at the 20 or 25. Yeah, that's no fun though. There's no excitement in that. And that's what they're trying to get. They're trying to get that hook, that excitement back into the NFL again, with the returns. So that's their whole goal, is they want players to be able to return the ball. So it's forcing kickers to kick the ball to the returners so that they're having to make that play and not just, kick it out of bounds or kick it away from the guy. Kicker roll is increasing. Now they are routinely scoring from 5. Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, you've seen some of these kicks. Draft hunt first. Kick is about to get paid. Yeah, I mean, and that could be too. That could also increase the pay for these kickers. Last season, the ball could hit inbounds and then roll out. They wouldn't get penalized. Let's see. It aids in having more scoring opportunities, but this football, that's close to getting to basketball-esque rate of scoring. Yeah, I mean, you could have some games that, are pushing the envelope at like on an average of 70 points combined a game. If that's what the NFL wants, that's what they're going to get. What's up, Jason? Never got a notification. Oh, I told you, unsubscribe, resubscribe, and then hit the notification again. That should reset the whole thing. I know this has happened in the past. I've had that happen, and I've done that. I've unsubscribed and then resubscribe and hit the notification, and usually it works. Or in some cases, like if I'm not getting the notification right away, I'm getting it like 30 minutes into a show or something. Or in your case, if you're seeing it now, you just got it in an hour. I've already been on for an hour. What's up, Nav, man? Turn on those notifications when you hit the subscribe, folks. Don't be like me. Yeah, definitely. Make sure you guys hit those subs, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe, notifications, everything. I know I didn't go live when the news broke. Number one, I was still asleep when it hit, so I missed the whole initial start of it. But I figured there were going to be enough people on live when the Kirk Cousins thing broke. So I just spent the day putting together everything we did for the Thursday night show last night. I'm like, you know what? We'll have 2.5 hours or whatever, and we'll talk about it then rather than, how long can you do a day show during the day on something like that? It's like, I mean, it's big news, but it's no Max Crosby trade big news. That was different. Shit like that's a little different. Or hiring of the head coach. Now that's a lot to talk about. If the player grabs it while out of bounds, the ball is considered out of bounds. Yeah, I got to look at the specifics a little bit more on that. We'll be over 24 points a game for sure. I hope so. Last year, I kept predicting us to score 30 points. We got the closest we got to 30 was we hit 29 once. I was like, God damn it. Let's see. I'm against globalism. You're a freak, Hobo. Most of the games overseas were dry until the end. Too much jet lag on these players, and I think that's the other thing too. Is it's a lot of demand on these players flying and then having to play in a game, which is why a lot of times they'll fly out right after. They'll fly out after, like, say, a Sunday game. They'll fly out on Monday and be there for the whole week. Um, think about it. Anybody that's on a West Coast team and they have to play in the UK, that's a long flight because it's 6 hours across the country and then it's another 6 hours across. So that's a 12-hour flight. And they're flying straight through. They're not stopping. That's 12 hours on a plane to go play a game. And now think about going to Australia or New Zealand. We're talking 24-hour plus flight plane ride. Afakasi knows. He just flew back from, he flew here and back last year during the season. That's a lot of time in the air. That's exhausting. You flying alone takes it out of you. It's exhausting. Thanks, Nat, man. I appreciate that, man. Well, have a good night, man. What's up, Axe? XFL cut. Oh yeah, put the ball in the 50 and let two guys run after it. That would be exciting. But man, that's that was a great idea when they did the XFL was fun. I liked it. I really did. I thought it was different. Let's see. That takes away a lot of special team strategy, though. I mean, how much strategy is there in special teams? You kick, everybody run. I mean, the biggest strategy on special teams is on the return side. Like when you're returning the ball, like I know when I was especially in high school, because we used to practice this all the time, and in practice it looked great. Could never get it to work in a game. The whole plan was after the ball's kicked, as the receiver's getting it, like say it's a punt return, everybody that's up on the line is supposed to form a wall down one sideline, whether it's the left or the right. We'd have to, notate which side we want to go at the start, when we're in the huddle. It works great in practice. You create this like wall going down the side of the field. It never worked in games. We always got fucking beat up. All it takes is one guy to break that wall, and that's it. It's over. You know. I mean, punting, I mean, we're lucky we got the best punter in the league, you know, with the way that he can, he just like, I mean, he was putting balls in that coffin kicks just like Ray Guy used to, you know. Kickoffs, the new free throw, field goals, the new mid range. Yeah, it's what it's going to be like, man. These kickers are hitting out further and further, man. Bueno was late because he was driving a 91-year-old lady to the hospital with one leg and blind in the right eye, so we need to give him a break. I'm not giving him a break. 63-3 Raiders Chargers game was epic. Yeah, it was. I got a call from an older lady 3 times telling me she needed to be picked up at a medical transport company. Gave her my number. I just got the goosebumps that you said that. Oh my god. Most fan bases don't want to give up those home games to go across the pond. No, they probably don't. Yeah, that's a big one right there too. I agree with that, Jason. You do away with touchbacks, and now you're forcing teams to return the ball. You know, um, I don't know how I feel about the fair catches though. The only thing I think about with the fair catches is if they don't do a fair catch, you see how close some of these guys are. Because without a fair catch, these guys are going to get laid out as soon as they catch it if they don't do a fair catch on punt returns. So I think you would still kind of, as a safety issue, you would still kind of need a fair catch for a punt return. Because I mean, again, you've seen some of these guys, these cover guys, they're in their face. And if they don't do a fair catch, these guys are going to get laid the hell out. And that's where you're going to have some injuries. Because you're talking about a guy that's standing still, looking up at the sky for the ball. He can hear them. He can feel their presence that they're coming at him. But he's got to keep looking up because as soon as he looks down at the guy, he's going to lose the ball and he's going to muff it. It's going to hit him and then they're going to recover it. So they're defenseless at that point because they're just standing still 95% of the time. They're standing still. They're not readjusting under the ball. And those cover guys are coming full speed down the field with the intent to knock their head off, if they don't fair catch it. So, I mean, the fair catch at least prevents serious injury because you think about those injuries that they would be, that would be horrible. Let's see. Once they took away the onside kick, the surprise is gone. Yeah, now they can do it, but you have to let it be known that that's what you're doing ahead of time. So it's not like before. Like the old way used to be, you come out to the kicker, and the kicking team comes out, and they get in their normal. Everybody across the line, set up on the line, and all of a sudden, half the team shifts over to the other side, and he just squib kicks it. They can't even do that anymore. Now they have to come out and go, we're going to do an onside kick. So you guys can get ready for it. So it's going to happen. That's the lame part about that. That I don't like. Let's see. Let me say next year there will be no kickoffs. The football will be shot out of a cannon. Oh, that guy was a head case, Marquette King. Keep touchbacks for punts because there is an art to keeping it out of the end zone. Yeah. Yeah, because if the punt goes into the end zone, it's a dead ball. It comes out to the 20 or 25 or whatever the hell it is. I believe the numbers say there are more injuries on kick returns than punt returns. Yeah, and that's probably right because think about it. If there wasn't a fair catch, because you watch a game, how many times does a punt returner fair catch? Majority of the time. So they're not taking that hit. It's only if once they catch the ball and they look straight ahead, if they don't fair catch it ahead of time and they know that they're going to be able to take this ball and run because the guys defending against those gunners gave him the time to take that ball and run with it, he can make the move. But if he has that sense that they're going to be too close to him and he's got to just wave it off as a fair catch, he's not taking the hit. So the injuries on is great. Kickoffs, that ball's it's fair game. That ball's live. So you can't just let it go. So you have to take it. And yeah, I get why there would be more injuries on kickoffs than there were on punts. You know, because injuries on kickoffs, it's happening across the board on the field. It could happen anywhere on that. Whereas punts, the biggest chance of an injury is if you don't fair catch and you get just slammed. You know. Thanks, Hobo. So phone lines are open still, 401-830-9189. So feel free to call in. I want to hear from you guys, in the chat and on the phone. What do you think about the rule changes? What do you think about the refs on strike? What do you think, more importantly, about replacement refs, the NFL taking control on being able to reverse the ruling on the field, the global part of everything? Like, do you think that we should be in a different certain teams should be in a different country, or, does that list seem adequate to you? Do you agree with where these teams are going to be positioned for, this global dominance, as they're calling it, I guess? So, let's see. At least that's what I say to your face. Yeah, I figured, Hobo. Then you'll do a short later on how I rated 401 rated Jeff abandoned everybody, right? Yeah. Out of Flush turf doesn't know. No, and that's the other thing too. That I think that's something else that they're going to have to address for the future too. Is if a team can go to natural grass, they should. Plain and simple. It's tough in a sealed off dome to use grass. There's only 2 stadiums right now that are pure domes that have natural grass, and that's us in Arizona. Arizona was the first one to do that, and I like that we did that because the natural grass is just such a better surface to play on. It's better for injury purposes where players don't get injured as bad. It's better overall. Basically, that turf is not forgiving at all. It's horrible. It's better than what it used to be. Before, it used to just be a concrete floor and a thin ass, hard ass plastic rug was laid out on it. That was it. There was not much for padding, if anything. If anybody remembers the old style fields when it used to be like that, one of the worst ones was Lincoln. Not Lincoln. It wasn't Lincoln Financial. The Vet in Philadelphia. That used to be one of the worst fields in the league. Horrible. Like, you could see patches where they would replace part of the turf throughout the season. And in some cases, you could see where in the middle of a game, as a guy's kicking off the line, the grass lifts up and moves, or the turf moves. So yeah, that shit's bad. Jack Ham, Lambert, those guys from the Steelers, the turf toe just destroyed them with that field. Those old fields. New England used to have that field. I remember going to the stadium with my parents, and during the off season, basically. And they used to let you go out on the field. And I remember feeling that stuff, man. That shit was brutal. You might as well just play football in the street. That's what we used to do when we were kids. We used to play tackle football on the street in front of our house. We didn't have any fields to go and play, so we did it right in the street. We didn't give a shit. We were young and stupid, man. Let's see. We need to go back to the rules of the 90s. Just enough rules to keep things safe most of the time, but not overwhelming. I wouldn't be opposed to that. Jeff called a Patriot fan. Bro, Jeff confirmed Patriots fan. What? What? I will never be a Patriots fan. You couldn't. If they offered me $1 million a year job to be a Pats fan, I'd tell them to stuff it up their ass. Most of the countries they go to are soccer first. Football is seen as an American sport. True. But, hey, it's going to work. I'm telling you, it's going to work. If they're going to push it enough where it's going to work. I mean, the NFL has already got a pretty good foothold in Africa with what they're doing with the NFL players, retired players that are going over there and finding some of these guys, these talents, and bringing them over to the United States. So they've already got a foothold there, and it's paying dividends slowly, but it's paying off. which is why I think you see Cleveland. I know I said it earlier. I'm like, I don't get Ghana, but now that I just said that about what these former players are going over there and doing, and finding these raw talent kids and bringing them over to the NFL and teaching them football over there. I mean, there's football leagues over in Europe. They're not like NFL style, but they're closest to it over there. So it does have its own foothold in certain parts of the world. So I think it's going to work. I really do. Do the teams that are listed to where they're going to go, are they the right fit? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, some make sense. I think all the ones that we're involved in, I'm okay with. The one that was shocking to me was the UAE. Um, I was kind of surprised at that one. That's the one that got me. Um, I didn't see that one coming. I knew, like I said, the Australia and New Zealand one. I get that, but the UAE one's kind of shocking. What was the other one? Was there another one that were in that? And UK too, actually. I'm kind of surprised that they put us in the UK. I'm We've only played there, what, maybe 2 times, I think, since they started that? Yeah, Philly's Veterans Stadium was horrible. You know, real Redskin, this show is it's actually geared towards all 32 teams in the NFL. It's not just this isn't a Raiders show. My Saturday night show is. All my other shows are. This is open to all fans of the NFL. So Friday nights is for talking about things going on in the NFL, any big news on particular teams. So I'm trying to attract fans from other teams. So here you are as a Redskins fan coming in here talking shit. So take it for what it's worth. You're not going to get kicked. Nobody's going to kick you. So don't worry about that. But it's like, what the fuck, dude? Wake up. I saw Mike Irving go out on a stretcher in Philly. Yeah, was it for his neck? I think that was his final. That was it for him after that. Some of those fields, man, they were just so bad. So bad. Well, it might sound like I'm from New York, but I'm from New England. So if the game is big enough to go global and start teams over there, don't poach my team to go overseas. Tackle on the play by driver side mirror. Yeah. You'd be in the street. Larry, you run up to Mr. Johnson's car and go to the right. You go to Mrs. Smith's Buick over there and go to the left side. And yeah, cul-de-sac football. Yeah, cul-de-sac football, basketball, cul-de-sacs were the best for that. You don't have to worry about cars. You'd be out there playing football or street hockey in the street, and it's like, car, game on, once it goes by. What do I think about Puka checking in the rehab? Is that a legit story, or was that an April Fool's thing? Because if that's a legit story, then good for him. Good for him. Get it done now before training camp and all that. Get your shit together. Because man, that the Rams have so much invested in that kid, and that'd be a damn shame if he's not out there to play. And it sucks for fantasy football too, because then he wouldn't be available to draft. There's a buy my apartment in Columbia that plays NFL if no soccer is playing. See, so let's catch it on. But he needs to go to obedience school for biting. Yeah. Did they smack him on the nose with a newspaper or put a muzzle on him? Did Raiders sign Najee? I don't think so. I haven't heard anything on that. I'm looking right now. I don't see. Yeah, I don't see anything right now. No news on that. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't, to be honest with you. Let me look. No news there. Nope, nothing here. No, I don't see anything. Nope, no news yet. So, no. I would have to say no. People, come here, Kev. Rasheed Rice, not getting penalized. Shake my head. Yeah, he remains unsigned. Yep. So I guess nobody wants to call in tonight. Remember, phone number 401-830-9189. Everybody's sleeping at the wheel tonight. Everybody had a rough week. Is everybody okay? Who's watching the NCAA Final Four this weekend? It's gonna be some good games too. I'm still alive in my bracket. Whose bracket's destroyed now? Because my bracket's still alive. I got I got UConn winning it all. So I was nervous last week when they were playing against Duke. So the way that game, did anybody see the end of that game? That was insane. That was absolutely insane. That was awesome. Awesome finish to a game. My God. What's up, James? Yeah, so tomorrow night for NCAA, we got UConn in Illinois. So number 2 seed in UConn, number 3 seed in Illinois at 6:09 p.m. Eastern time is that game. And then at 8:49 p.m. tomorrow night, number 1 seed Arizona and number 1 seed Michigan. So my pick was UConn and Michigan to play in the championship with UConn winning it. So if those two make it and UConn wins, I get a pretty good shot of winning this bracket right now. So I'm that close. I'm that close because everybody else that's above me still, no one else has UConn winning it but me. So I'm the only one. Yeah, looks like I'm the only one that's got UConn to win it all. So if UConn wins it all, I'm gonna win. I'm not gonna win anything, but I'm still gonna win. That's all right. It's fun. We are fine. Just that there is something going on. Yeah, it makes us lazy and some are sick. Yeah. You got Arizona, Q. My bracket got busted early though because the Gators got knocked out way too soon. Nobody won yet. That game's tomorrow. It's the 2 games are tomorrow night. Basically 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock are the start times for them. And then the championship game will be Monday night. So that's like the only time I watch college basketball. Actually, I should say, well, any basketball is when it gets into like the March Madness. I love watching that. That's fun because I mean, you watch these, especially these Cinderella stories. You know, these teams that come out of nowhere and make it far. I have a question, but it's a rated question. How many games do you think we may win now with Kirk as QB? I think maybe 7, but we may do a little better and hit 9. No attacking me for saying that. I'm not going to attack you. I'm not giving you a number though. I've committed to not giving a number to how many wins we're going to have this season. I'm not doing it this year. I'm not saying we're going to. I will say this. I just hope it's more than what we had last year. And if it's not, oh well. If we win 1 game, I don't really care this year. Of course, I want to see us win as many as possible. But again, I'm giving this year a passing grade no matter what we look like, no matter how we play. Well, not how we play, but how many wins we get. I don't care about wins. I just want to see improvement. I want to see the team come together. I want to see a gelled starting 5 on that offensive line. I want to see 5 guys all on the same page, blocking their ass off, and Genty getting the best production possible out of him with this offensive line clicking. That's what I want to see. I don't care how many wins or losses we get. You know, I want to see a better product on the field. I want to see aggressiveness. I want to see teamwork. I want to see the desire to be there and to play every game. I want to see maturity across the line. I don't want to see what I saw this past season. I saw 2 games last year in person. The New England game, which was smoke and mirrors. We won that, but it still wasn't a great display of football by us. It wasn't awful, but it wasn't great. A lot of people got their hopes up, and then they all came crashing down after that. But what I saw in Philly when I went to that game, I don't want to see that this season. If I see that this season, I am going to be pissed because this is a whole new attitude with this team. And I don't expect to see that again this year. I don't want to see these guys coming out of the locker room, walking out into the field flat, like they don't even want to be there. Yeah, I know it was cold in Philly. It was a flight across the country. We got hit with a blizzard that morning. The snow that came down that morning was ridiculous. Um, by the time the game started, the sun was out. The clouds were pretty much gone, but it was cold as hell that day. I mean, it was cold. And with the wind in that stadium, all right, yeah, miserable, but it was sunny out. So it wasn't shitty ass weather with snow and everything during the game. It was just sunny out and it was just cold and windy. And these guys look like they wanted nothing to do with playing the sport. Offense never got anywhere near my side of the field. Unless that's where they were unless they were on the receiving end on my end zone. That's the only time I saw the offense in front of me. Never saw it beyond the 50-yard line when it was on the other side. When they started coming towards me, they never crossed the 50. The defense was out there the entire game. It was just horrible. It was second fastest game in NFL history. That's how bad we were that game. Philadelphia played with us like we will play toys. They just was pathetic. If I see that this year, I'm gonna be pissed. Absolutely pissed. Q says I feel the same way. Yep. There's a rumor that the Bears were going to cut more, and Bills gave up a second-round pick to get him. Yeah, what does the chat think on that question? How many wins are you guys thinking? Yaya says I'd be happy with 500 to reach 500 and get to see Nando at some point. I'm curious to see how much he's going to play this year. I'll tell you what, if we're either getting blown out or we're blowing out a team, his ass should be in the game. He should be in during garbage time with some of the first stringers, definitely. Or maybe not the first stringers, but at least getting out there in an actual game time, regular season experience. Games don't matter this year. Yep. I just want to see that exactly. Bueno says 17 wins. Bueno's smoking something. That's good. No predictions. Just expect good football. Yeah, exactly. I just want to see a well-oiled machine out there. I want to see that determination. I want to see that desire to play the game. These guys are getting paid millions of dollars to play a game, a kid's game, basically as a grown adult. And for them to act the way they did in some cases last year was just appalling, just disgusting. And that goes for any team in the NFL. It's not just the Raiders, because I've seen that with other teams in the NFL where they just have no desire to be where they are at that moment because their team's that bad, or they're just that off. Or their coaching is just so bad that the players don't want to play for them. You've seen that before in other teams where a team is just so bad because the coaching is so bad. And then that's where the league gets diluted a little bit. And then that's where some teams run away with it and other teams just stay stuck in the mud, like we have for the last 20 years, like the Cleveland Browns have been for years. There's some teams that just cannot get their shit together and improve. The Lions were crap for years. Even when they had Barry Sanders, they weren't one of the greatest teams in the league. The greatest running back to ever play the game, as far as I'm concerned, yes, better than Walter Payton, better than Emmitt Smith, by far. Best running back to ever play this game, other than maybe Jim Brown. I'd still give Jim Brown his credit. And they weren't much of anything. They only made the playoffs like twice with Barry Sanders there, And just recently they started to improve because the coaching got better. The players wanted to play for him. You know, they lost both their coordinators last year. So yeah, they took a down. They took a hit and they spiraled down a little bit, which was I even called it before the season started. I don't think the Lions were going to be as good in 2025 with a new offensive coordinator and a new defensive coordinator. Didn't expect the Bears to be what they were. Absolutely not. You know, I was watching the Taylor stream. It was, yeah, it was, man. It did, and that was already calmed down at that point. When we first got there that morning in Philly, let's put it this way: I woke up at like about 5:30, 6 o'clock Sunday morning, and my wife said it's snowing out already, and I'm like, yeah, it was snowing last night when I went to bed, but it was like a light flurry. She goes, no, it's snowing out. So I open up the window. I'm like, oh my god! Now we were at a hotel. The hotel we were at, we're literally right across the street from the airport, so the runway was right there. Never heard a plane on, which is a good thing. The runway was right there. I couldn't even see the runway. I couldn't see across the street. The snow was coming down so hard that morning. You know, we had about, I don't know, 3-4 inches of snow on the car already. So not only did I have to get out there, clean the car off. Luckily, we had everything in it already. I had to clean the car off. We had to drive the city to get. Oh, it was a nightmare, man. Hang on. You're on No Huddle with Jeff. State your name and the team you're at.
Hey, this is James from California.
I'm sorry, from where?
From California.
Hey, what's up, James? How you doing, brother?
Good. Hey, I like the move we made on Cousin because, you know, there's something. You can't put the kid out there.
You're kind of cutting out. I'm not hearing you that well.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's a little bit better. Okay.
Okay, so we had to get Cousins because you can't put the kid out there.
Yeah.
And you know, the defense is coming along, so I think we're going to be okay.
I do too. I mean, the defense. Let's put it this way: from the day that Max got traded to Philly, right? So from that day, the defense was one way, and by the day that Max was coming back to us because, traded to Baltimore, the defense was a completely different defense from what he left to what he came back to. Yeah, I'm impressed with the changes on the defense. You know, I just want to see us get that true nose tackle in this draft, and I think the defense is going to be pretty damn good. You know.
Yeah, and us Raider fans, we can't be upset if they don't win right away because
no,
we went through the bad part. Now it's going to get better.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see if we're gonna go after another offensive lineman in the draft, or if we're just gonna stick with what we have. So I don't know what their game plan is. I know Spytech already said he'd love to have more draft picks in this draft. You know, what that's going to entail, how he's going to pull that off, I don't know. You know, I don't know if that's moving some of those fourth rounders, or I don't know what his game plan is. I don't know if it's to move back in the second round and gain some additional picks. I don't know what his plan is, but he said he would love to get more picks. So we'll see what happens. But I think the Kirk Cousins move was huge. You know, it saves Mendoza, or it saves the coaching. Is what it does. And I said this last night on the show. What it does is it takes the pressure off the organization, off the coaching, off the front office, because there's less pressure to have to throw him out there right away. You know,
absolutely.
Yep.
Yes, you can't throw him out in the fire like that. You're ruining the kid doing that.
No, and I know a lot of fans. You know, a lot of the fans that are so pro Mendoza think that, we just start him right away. I don't think that's a good move either. You know, especially one of the biggest knocks on him is, not a lot of time on the center. And if this system that they're going to run is going to be a lot on the, he's going to need to get used to that at a pro level. Pro level versus college level is two different things, man. He's going to see defenses he hasn't seen. He's going to see stuff disguised in the NFL that you weren't seeing in the college ranks.
Oh, yes.
So he's in for, any quarterback. It's not just him. Any rookie coming into this league at quarterback is in for a rude awakening. And the game's faster. The players are bigger and stronger, so it's a different learning curve. And why would you subject him to that? That's why I said earlier, put Cousins out there, let him get the beating. We're only paying him 1.3 mil. It's a small price to pay for a guy to get knocked around instead of putting your future franchise guy out there.
Just like Mahomes, they had a quarterback before he started.
Yeah, it was Alex Smith.
So this is our time.
Yeah, I think so. What's up, Frenchie?
All right, brother. I've been a long-time Raider fan since 1985.
Oh yeah, you're an old school guy then too. Yeah.
I've seen the ups and downs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Too many downs though. It's time. It's time, and it feels like we're encroaching on that aspect of getting back to that time.
We're going through a cycle. We had to wait a long time.
Yeah, way too long, but it feels good. Let's put it that way.
Everybody I know says I've never seen the Raiders win. I've never seen them. I was in '76. I was 11 years old, so I don't remember the Super Bowl back then. But when I grew up, and then I watched the Raiders back in the '80s.
Yeah.
So then I became an actual fan in '85.
So you were 11 and 7. All right, so you're a few years older than me.
Yeah, I'm going to be 61.
Yeah, I'll be 56 next month. So yeah, you got me by a couple of years. Yeah. By what, 6 years? 5 years? Yeah, us old guys, man. We've been around the block, and we've seen the good and the bad. We've seen this roller coaster. But lately the roller coaster's just been going straight downhill. We're on one hell of a downward ride. We need to start climbing that. We need to start hearing that chain clicking as we're going back up the hill.
It looks promising right now than it was before. With Alex, what was his name?
Alex Smith?
No, not Alex Smith. What was the coach for the Raiders before 2 years ago?
2 years ago, Antonio Pierce.
Antonio, yeah. He got us all hyped up, and then he didn't have nothing to back it. So then now we finally got the best coach that anybody could ask for. Everything looks good.
Well, you know what it is? It's more along the lines of we got our guy. We got the guy that we wanted. The team knew what they wanted for a head coach. They went out. They patiently waited for him to be available, and they got him. We didn't just – it's not like the season ended. We fired our coach. All these other coaches were available, and we were like, we need to hurry up and get a coach so we can get everything going. No, I think they quietly already had stuff working for the new season coming up, and they just needed to wait to get the new coach in. And they waited. They bided their time, and they struck at the right time, and boom, they pulled them in. So, it's nice to see us have patience for once as an organization, rather than just jump the gun and grab anybody, and then all hell breaks loose because we've got the wrong guy.
No, I don't feel like that. It feels like
we got the guy.
Together.
Yep. Definitely.
The best OC in the league, Super Bowl OC.
Yeah. I mean, he comes with credentials, that's for sure.
Who else? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, good talking to you, and I follow you on YouTube. So
awesome.
I appreciate you taking my call.
No, not a problem, man. I do a show on Saturday nights also. I'm on a few nights a week, but tomorrow night is Raider Nation Voices, where it's the same format as this, but it's strictly Raider talk. So on Friday nights, I try and do more of like NFL based stuff. So
okay,
but yeah, definitely. Tune in tomorrow night. We go on at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. So
7 o'clock. Yeah, I'm in California. 7 o'clock. Yep. I'll put you on. So
awesome, man. All right, man. Yep, YouTube, Facebook, and I'm also on X.
Okay, brother. Take care.
All right, thanks, brother. Thanks for the phone call. Awesome call. That was great.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome, man.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, chat. Man, that call was just amazing. No pressure for the rest of you numbskulls.
I want to go back to this comment here real quick. I started this one. Do you really believe some franchise will spend precious resources on Ruggs when he gets out? Yeah, I do. Some team will grab him. I would not be surprised if they do. I don't think it'll be us. I definitely don't think it'll be us. But I could see a team out there that needs him, that wants him. I think it's definitely a viable option. Let's see. I agree with Axe. They should put cameras in the review booth so we can hear and see how play reviews are ruled. Yes. I feel there is some cherry picking during the sideline. Oh, absolutely. And I think it's going to be even worse now once the NFL headquarter office, the officiating office gets involved in it. Like, the ones that handle, like Joe, what's his name, Sarator or whatever, when he talks about the, New York office and everything getting involved in the replays, because that's who's probably going to be handling that. It's going to be that same type of crew. Q says, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid low key between people believing in the O-line, whilst what they've done so far, done in free agency, and what I think they'll do in the draft. I think we might play into a playoff. I'm not even saying that. The only thing the Lions had was Herman Moore and Barry Sanders. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why Barry Sanders retired too. It's like, I'm tired of being your circus clown, your entertainment. That's what was putting butts in the seats in Detroit was Barry Sanders. Everybody wanted to see Barry Sanders play. Scott Mitchell, that was failed attempt. Yeah, he had one great year in Miami when he filled in when Marino tore his Achilles. He never amounted to what they thought he was going to be in Detroit. All they had was Herman Moore and Barry Sanders, and Barry's like, you know what? I'm tired of being your circus clown. I'm not here to entertain the masses. I'm here to play football. And the team was not committed to winning. They just wanted to make the money. They made the money. They made as much money as they could off of Barry Sanders. I'm just fortunate enough that I got to see him play once. And it was a Patriots game. A friend of mine has season tickets, and he called me up last minute. He goes, "Hey, you want to go to the game?" I said, "Who are they playing?" He goes, "Detroit." I said, "I'm in." I wore my Raiders stuff, obviously. I went to the game because I wanted to see Barry Sanders play, and I got to see him play. So I can say I saw Barry Sanders play in person. So I am so glad I went to that. That's the only time I've been to a Patriots game where it wasn't versus the Raiders. So just letting you know that. And it was for good reason. I don't think anybody else would have probably turned that down too. It was free tickets. I paid for the food when we were in the stadium. So, it was amazing watching him run. And just every time he touched the ball, it's like you froze and just watched this guy work his magic. I mean, he was amazing. I see a lot of people want us to sign Ruggs too. I'm not against it, but I don't think you're going to see the Raiders sign him. If his guy isn't there, opening of day 2, he's trading back. And that's where you're going to see him gain more picks. He's going to fall further back into the second, get another third rounder possibly, gain another pick in that aspect. I feel like one of the oldest here, damn it. Yeah, you are. You're an old fart. Cousins for that amount. Wow, good luck. That's horrible. Why is that horrible? 1.3 million? Are you shitting me? Or 1.7? I forget I don't remember what the number was. That's a steal for that. We're only paying that small amount for this year. Next year is different. Next year, if we let him go at the end of the season, we're on the hook for 10 mil for next season. Still cheaper than anything else we would have paid for anyone else we would have brought in here. We would have paid a lot more for Kyler Murray. We would have paid a draft pick for Derek Carr because we'd have to trade a draft pick to New Orleans, and then we'd still have to pick up his contract too. You know, he wasn't going to come over on a friendly deal. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. You know, Kirk Cousins' agent is a genius, and Spytech, man, he's worked some serious voodoo magic this season. I can't remember the last time I saw a GM do what he's done and be so damn good at it, and just every time be like, how did he do that? Like, what still blows my mind is the Geno Smith trade. So not only did we trade him to the Jets, we gave them a 7th round pick, and then they gave us their 6th back for him, and we unloaded that contract. What? How did you talk them into that? Like, what kind of voodoo doll do you have putting pins in for the GM and the owners of the Jets to force them into that move? That's insane. You know, I don't get it. If anybody got Cousins for what we did, if anybody got Cousins for what we did, they would be, yeah, exactly. They'd be a genius. Yeah. Let's see. I'm actually getting off in a couple of minutes. I only go 2 hours. I don't push it on Friday nights anymore. Let's see. Jeff, isn't it weird that Mendoza visit is the same time players show? Yeah, I don't think it's weird. I don't see anything wrong with it. So it just happens to be that time, you know. Let's see. We better not put videos or pictures of Mendoza with Bowers or Genti because NFL will punish us or take away our pick. Yeah, that's the one biggest thing I have is I mean, it's one thing if he meets the players, like shakes the hand, like show them like at the front office entrance area or whatever. Don't do anything that's going to jeopardize us losing or getting penalized for something. Don't, you know, I'm sure they're not going to do something stupid, but don't. That's all I pray to God. Two of my favorite non-rated players of all time, Barry Sanders and coverage. Oh, Barry Sanders was amazing. Sue was nasty, man. He was. I actually liked watching him play. I just love that whole. He's just such a nasty son of a bitch. That's the type of player I like. I seen Barry Sanders, Detroit, my Pittsburgh Steelers in the snow in Pittsburgh, of course. Yeah, and I agree. I think Ruggs would be a disaster nightmare, and that's if he goes to another team, he'll have a fresh start somewhere else, a new city, new surroundings. If he comes back to Vegas, it's still the same town where it happened. It's going to be an old wound reopened for some people, and not fans, but for the people that live there too. You're going to remember that this affects the people that live there, the family or the people that knew that girl. You know, this has a bigger impact than just football. And I know people like, "Whoa, he's such a great man." You got to look at the big picture here. You know, do you want to villainize the team because we brought him back to the team in the city where it happened in the first place? You know, we're trying to gain the fans and the respect of the people that live there that you know, we want to pull them in as fans. You don't want to start, you know, burning bridges with people and pissing fans off and pissing the locals off. That's the last thing you want to do is piss off the locals. You piss off the wrong person, and the next thing you know, it's difficult to get shit done for the team in the area. So, no, I just think that's a bad PR move without a doubt. Let's see. Biggest sort of horseshit I ever watched live. What was that? Oh, the fucking index card. Yeah, god damn it, that was so stupid. Let's see. What are you booing me because I went to a game? What are you booing me for? We did with Russell Wilson and Rodgers. Yeah. So who do you? All right. So obviously you're a Steelers fan, then, David. What do you think's going to happen? What are you guys going to do for a quarterback? Do you think you guys are going to go for Ty Simpson? I already said I'm already on record saying that I don't think Ty Simpson slides past you guys. If he's still there when you guys pick, in the first round, I see you guys grabbing him. I don't see you guys waiting. because I don't think he'll be there in the second for you guys. I think I have a feeling you guys take him in the first round, which wouldn't be a bad spot at that point. I think you guys are what, 23? I think you guys are the 23rd pick or something like that. 26th? I forget. Yeah, that trade with the Jets was insane. I still can't believe he pulled that off. Let's see. Josh says, I'd be so pissed if I hear the NFL has taken Raiders #1 pick for something stupid. We got to treat just like a fire hazard. No one in, no one out. Keep in the house. Yeah, exactly. So you think 21. So you think they'll go for Ty Simpson? Or see, that's what I hate about Rodgers in a way, because he's playing this game with teams. You know, he did with Green Bay before they finally said, you know what, screw you. We're not going to wait for you to come out of your freaking cave, your habitat, dock retreat bullshit you're in. You know, and they just decided to move on with Jordan Love and just say, all right, see ya, you're done. You know, and then he kind of did the same thing with the Jets too. You know, and then they finally just, you know, moved on him, and he went to Pittsburgh, and now he's holding Pittsburgh hostage because, you know, I think at this point Pittsburgh just needs to make a decision and just, you know, he's basically look at it like he's not going to come back and just move on. But you thinking Howard? What Howard you talking about? Both Mendoza and Simpson is good if we get two more pick. Let's see. I think Mike McCarthy could develop Ty Simpson. I think so too. Oh, Will Howard. Okay. And I'm surprised. I mean, unless Aaron and McCarthy just had such a bad falling out, I'm surprised Aaron, as soon as McCarthy was hired, didn't recommit to Pittsburgh again. You know, unless he really wants to just retire, then just say it. Just stop dragging teams along, man. That's the one thing that's pissed me off about him. I heard Jets might use 16 pick on Ty Simpson. I'm hearing they're intrigued with him because of Dan. Because Dan, I hope not before you do that. Call us. Yeah, exactly, right? Oh, that's right. That was last year he came out, Will Howard. I forgot he was on that roster. Yeah, Rodgers is weird, man. It's just, you know, and somebody, because I know that was kicked around, and I know we did a little thing last week on the possibility of Aaron Rodgers coming here. I was fine with Rodgers coming here when he was leaving Green Bay. That would have been the only time I would have even entertained him coming to the Raiders. After that season, he should have just retired at that point, to be honest with you. That's when he should have left the league. He should have been done right then and there. I don't know what you guys think in the chat. You know, should he have gone on after Green Bay and played somewhere else like he did going to the Jets? He basically went the same trajectory that Brett Favre did. Brett Favre left the Packers, went to the Jets. That didn't work out. He was there for I don't know how many seasons, 2 or 3. Then he goes off to Minnesota. What else? Did he go to another team too? Where else did he go to? Oh, I got to look that up now because let me see. Brett Favre. He I forget all the teams he played for. All right, it was the Falcons. Yeah, all right, so that was right. So Falcons, then Packers. Yeah, went to the Jets for 1 year, and he went to Minnesota for 2. That's what it was. You know, now Aaron Rodgers, instead of going to Minnesota, he went to Pittsburgh. You know, is he going to stick around and play for someone else this coming season, or is he just going to say, I'm done? You know? Imagine Rams get Ty Simpson 13. Sean McVay will make him a tops. Oh, yeah, I'm telling you. If he goes to the Rams, a lot of Raider fans are going to be pissed. I know that. I'm still pissed we don't have that 14th pick. That 14th pick would have changed everything for us because we could have, with that 14th pick, take Mendoza 1. Number 14, you can take that wide receiver you want. If you want to grab Lemon, grab Lemon. Now you're giving him that number 1 wide receiver, or in this case, Kirk Cousins, that number 1 wide receiver to start. now we're cooking. And with the second round pick, you can still do some damage with that. And on top of that, you still got Baltimore's first rounder next year too. So you're going to have 2 first rounders next year. So now whatever inadequacies you have in this year's roster, you can address first in the first round with 2 picks. So it would have been a beautiful thing. Fucking Ravens. If they trade Devontae, they could draft another wide receiver. I don't think Devontae's going anywhere. He'll be there. Head coaches who can make Ty Simpson a star. Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, not going to be biased. Kubiak. Oh, yeah, Kubiak can too, definitely. Those 3 guys you name right there are the ones that I would probably trust most with a play, any quarterback, to be honest with you. He started with the Falcons. We do not like Simpson in Pittsburgh. No? Okay. Well, then that's a bonus then, I guess. Man, wish Crosby's flight was canceled. You can't wait another day, then free agent opens and we keep the picks, right? It wouldn't have mattered. They had already blocked on the trade, so it still wouldn't have made a difference. So you think Simpson's going to be a bust, huh? Okay. That's different. Honda was trying to find out if Christian Wilkins has an expected determination. Spy Tech was like, who cares? Isn't that still, we're still fighting that one? We're still trying to get part of his salary back or something. I think we're still involved with that. But all right. Phone lines are shut off now. They will be back open tomorrow night. Just remember that number, write it down, 401-830-9189. I will be back on tomorrow night with Jason. Raiders first down, so make sure you guys get over to his channel, hit that sub, hit the notification. Him and I will be on live tomorrow night. We'll be on at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. So we'll be on then tomorrow night. See NCAA Final Fours tomorrow night. So we'll give score updates on the second game because we'll be on live during that time. So I appreciate everybody being here tonight. This was a great show tonight. I really appreciate everybody. Thank you to the moderators for doing what you guys do. Really were no issues tonight. I noticed there were a few more non-Raider fans in the chat. I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody coming in here. So again, anybody that's in the chat still that's not a fan of the Raiders and is a fan of a different team in the league, share this. Let people know that this exists. I try and do these Friday night shows where it's just NFL talk. It's not specific Raider talk. It does turn into a little bit more Raiders because a lot of my main followers are Raider fans. So yeah, we do talk Raiders a little bit, but I try and steer it more towards NFL news, like how I discussed earlier tonight. So real quick, just the final thoughts on tonight. Just remember the NFL's expanding. We're going global in a bigger way now, opening up to all these markets. The rules are changing, so make sure you guys are up on the rule changes before the season starts. So when you see something happen, you're going to be like, what the hell is that? And then you can sit there and go, oh, I remember Jeff talking about this. Kickoffs that go out of bounds start at the 50 now. Okay, that's right. I remember that. So remember that stuff. The referees in the NFL fighting for control of the games as far as officiating goes. This is the future of football. Flag football may not be that far away. Again, the league evolves. I mean, you go back 20 years ago, it's a different league from what it is now. The players are different. The game is different. The rules are different. The uniforms, the padding, everything's changed through the years, and it's just the next evolution in the game is what it comes down to. So you know what? If you had fun tonight, you like what you heard and you saw, again, hit that subscribe, hit the notification, give the thumbs up for the show tonight. I appreciate you all. And as I always say at the end of my shows, stay safe and go Raiders.